The next bill on the agenda is House File 104. I think I need to designate Representative Detmer an honorary member of the Transportation Committee. I think it's your third or fourth bill this year, I think. So we have a couple of amendments, but before we get to those, Representative Detmer, I will move that House File 104 be referred to Ways and Means with a recommendation that it go to the Public Safety Committee from there.
Okay.
Did you want to do your amendments first, or you want to just present the bill and we can do the
Let's
amendments
quickly,
later?
Mr. Chair, let's quickly get the amendments out of the way.
Okay.
And then otherwise, I might forget.
Sure. I've been there. You have A1 first, and I will move the A1 amendment.
And Mr. Chair, the A1 amendment basically removes the forfeiture provisions from the bill, and then that's basically what it does there. It deletes Section 2.
Okay, is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, the A1 amendment is now incorporated into the House file. And then A2.
Yes, Mr. Chair, the A2 basically restructures the graduated fine statutory structure to work with the electronic citations by the that's attached to each violation, and the fine to its own number and letter. Otherwise, with electronic citations, there was a conflict, so that's what the A2 amendment does.
Thank you very much. Discussion to the A2. Okay, seeing none, I'll, of course, move the A2, and all those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, the motion prevails. The A2 is now incorporated into House File 104, and this is the shape that the author would like it presented to the committee. Proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr.
very
Chair and members. This bill is needed because car crashes and traffic fatalities due to distracted driving related to cell phone use has become an epidemic here in Minnesota. And the Minnesota Department of Public Safety reported that between 2013 and 2017, 1 in 5 crashes in the state was from distracted driving. On the average, 53 people were killed each year as a result of distracted driving. There is an 18% increase of distracted driving fatalities between 2014 and 2015. And in 2015, the DPS Office of Traffic Safety sponsored a study and ranked cell phone handling and cell phone conversations as the second and third most frequent distractions behind rear passenger interaction. And 12 of 15 states have decreased the fatalities within 2 years after their hands-free device laws was passed. 6 of 12 states saw more than 20% decreases in fatalities. This law will make roads safer because if you're distracted while driving, because if you're on your phone in your hand, you're subject to enforcement. I know Mr. John Plotz, a 17-year-old Vietnam War veteran, was killed by a woman who was cited previously texting while driving. House File 104 includes a graduated fine for texting while driving. The first violation is $150. The second violation is $300, and the third is subsequent violation is $500. The AAA Foundation states that cell phone use while driving is the highest among 16 to 24-year-olds drivers. And this bill also requires information on distracted driving and its dangers to be part of the driver's education programs and the driver's training manual. And if you kill or injured another person because of your negligent use of cell phone, you will be subject to criminal penalties. House File 104 brings the penalties for negligent use of cell phone resulting from death or bodily harm of another in line with the state's DWI penalties. The need for stronger penalties for people who takes another person's life was reinforced earlier this year when the 20-year-old man who killed Megan Geltz, a 22-year-old lady, and her unborn child pled guilty to reckless driving and was sentenced to 180 days in jail. This man who killed Megan was likely distracted while driving with his cell phone, and would like to now turn it over to my testifiers. Megan Megan's father, Tom, and mother, Wendy.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Thomas Geltz. Thank you, Mr. Chair and representatives, for allowing me to speak on this topic. We're in support of House File 104. I'm a vice president of risk management for Hayes Companies, which is an insurance broker. We're the largest insurance broker in Minnesota. I work as a safety consultant for them. I've got 30 years of experience. I'm a certified safety professional. I've got a degree in occupational safety, and I go around the state and around the country helping our companies regarding OSHA and safety. But I also do, over the last 3 years since the death of my daughter, I've been doing distracted driving presentations for our high schools and middle schools and businesses, trying to raise awareness on this topic. None of this could have prepared me for the situation when my daughter was killed on February 29, 2016 near Stillwater, Minnesota. I not only lost my daughter, but she was pregnant at the time, and I should be holding a 2.5-year-old grandson right now instead of talking to you. But unfortunately, I have to be here, but I'm proud to be here, not only for myself, but for all the other families here in Minnesota that have lost loved ones. The penalties associated with distracted driving are laughable. I hear that from everyone that I talk to. $50 fine for distracted driving in Minnesota. It needs to be changed. In our case, the other driver pled guilty to a gross misdemeanor charge. He's ended up serving 58 days in jail with school work release, as well as another 60 days of house arrest with work school release, and $500 fine, 2 years of probation. He has to do 20 hours of community service. In our opinion, that just, it's not enough to change behavior. There's a lot of things that we can do in regards to that. With drunk driving, for example, it took us decades to where we are today regarding the penalties and the fines. I don't want us to take decades to get the fines for distracted driving to that point. We need to move on this right now. The other driver was uninsured in our case, and we've incurred tens of thousands of bills that we had to pay out of our own pocket. Because that driver did not receive a felony charge, the Crime Victims Reparation Board has denied our claim for reimbursement on some of those fees. That's why it's important for other families, especially low-income families in Minnesota, that a felony charge is associated with this. We have a choice. We have a choice to drink and drive. We have a choice to drive distracted. All the studies are saying now that those two things are interconnected, and we've got a lot of people that are driving distracted. So we need the fines to be similar as well. Megan had a 3-year-old daughter, my granddaughter, who has to grow up now without a mama because of some stupid distracted driver. We've all driven distracted in one way or another. Some of us are much worse at it than others. I travel around the country. I was in Miami, Florida 2 weeks ago, and I was sitting at a stop sign. I was doing some safety work down there and just some distracted driving. I was rear-ended by a 20-year-old girl who was texting. The state patrol officer in Florida came and cited her for inattentive driving, but he didn't record it down as a distracted driving situation. So that will not go down as a statistic. The statistics that we have that show distracted driving as a problem are very inaccurate. They're just underreported. So I ask you on behalf of my family to vote yes for House File 104. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Geltz, and thank you for all of the effort. I mean, you've been here a lot at the Capitol, and I think your testimony has always been moving and poignant, and I think was very helpful in the previous bill we heard this session, and helpful today. So I appreciate it, and I think it's an important way to honor your family.
Thank you.
Ms. Geltz, did you want to talk, or I know you're on our list? Okay, well, thank you very much for your testimony. I know that, is Ms. Johnson here? Welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record.
Nancy Johnson, I represent Minnesotans for Safe Driving. Mr. Chair and members of the committee, I'm happy to be here to talk to you about this issue, which is very important to our group. Minnesotans for Safe Driving wants every driver to only drive and not try to multitask in any way, but especially by using their cell phone or electronic device to text, view Facebook, take selfies, watch movies, do banking. It's mind-boggling to hear what drivers are doing while they're driving a car down the freeway or in the rural areas or on the streets. If they're using the hands-free mode, most likely they'll be able to only do calls, which will keep their eyes on the road. Of course, hands-free is not distraction-free, and the cell phone is not the only distraction drivers have. But the phone is probably the most dangerous distraction and the one that takes your eyes off the road the most. Increasing the monetary fines for not using hands-free or for texting without a crash should send a message to the offender of the seriousness of their actions, and hopefully they will not be the one to cause the next crash if they get fined and stopped. We agree that we need to do as much as possible to continue the awareness of the dangers of distracted driving. Our organization provides court-ordered victim impact panels for 5 different counties. We have speakers talking about drunk driving, but most all of these panels, we also bring in victims or offenders of distracted driving, because we believe that if someone's going to drive drunk, they probably are going to drive distracted too. So we're trying to get that information out. Just as the mindset has changed through legislation and public awareness for drunk driving, legislation and public awareness will change the mindset for distracted driving. It has changed just so much in the last 5 years. We hope that continues. There's a PSA that says, was that text worth your life? Is any distraction worth your life, or is life of someone else's? According to surveys, the public now agrees with the need to have hands-free law, and most are surprised and many times horrified that the penalty is not the same as it is for drunk driving. This bill will make that change, and I think that's very important. The hands-free bill is a prevention bill to stop the crash from happening. This bill is a continuation of that to penalize those who continue to violate. The trucking industry already mandates hands-free. Ask any trucker, my son-in-law is one, about the number of drivers that they see looking at their phone while they're driving, and they'll tell you it's over 50%. These are all crashes just waiting to happen. The statistics say, as has been mentioned before, 1 in 5 crashes are distracted driving related, but those are only ones that are documented to be that way, and I bet that there's a lot more that is a contributing factor. We also believe this bill is not an overreach. There has been so much media about the hazards of cell phone use while driving that now everyone knows the dangers, just like they do for impaired driving. Any driver who will continue to violate the hands-free law after it is passed is doing so with the full knowledge that their actions could cause death or injury, and because of this, they should be charged with a serious crime, the felony that is in this legislation, when that action causes the death or serious injury of someone else. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Johnson, I also want to thank you for years of advocacy and always being an important presence
Thank you.
here at the Capitol on these issues. Is there anyone else that wishes to testify in the public, either for or against the legislation? Mr. Grilli.
Mr. Chair, members of the
Welcome to
committee.
the committee.
My name's Dorian Grilli. I'm the Executive Director of the Bicycle Alliance of Minnesota. I just want to also express the Bicycle Alliance's support for the increased penalties. We've been a part of the campaigns to prevent distracted driving and require hands-free cell phone use for several years now. We strongly support any laws that would prevent distracted driving. We would certainly support amendments that would increase the deterrent of this bill that would require a mandatory license suspension and perhaps driver re-education. So with that, I'll just thank you for the opportunity to comment on this important issue.
Thank you, Mr. Grilli.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or discussion? Representative Hausman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the author, we have occasionally had unintended consequences when the issue of forfeiture comes up. Have you had a discussion with any stakeholders or law enforcement or?
Yes, Mr. Chair and Representative, yeah, that's why I took out Section 2 on the forfeiture part.
I was late, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was something that I had discussions with people, and right now we felt it was better to take that out at this point, so Section 2 is not part of the bill anymore. Thank you for the question.
I arrived late, so I didn't see.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Well, I see that great minds think alike. Representative Koznick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Representative Detmer, thanks for the bill. This bill only pertains to cellular phone use, correct, and not other forms of distracted driving that are, is that true?
Yeah, Mr. Chair and Representative,
Detmer.
yes, that's true.
Okay. I think, Mr. Chair,
Representative Koznick.
this is an important issue, and it's a big issue in front of the legislature. I'm wondering if at some point maybe we should consider other forms of distracted driving, not just cell phone use. And I don't want to expand your bill necessarily today, but I think it's a discussion worth having because there's distracted driving that's a variety of other ways that we talked about on the House floor the other day that should probably be considered.
And Mr. Chair and Representative Koznick, yeah, yes, you're correct. In my presentation, distracted driving with cellular use is the second and third most causes of accidents. The number one cause is people in the back seat distracting the people that are driving. So that's the number one cause right now, according to AAA.
Well,
Representative Koznick.
Mr. Chair, as a father of two daughters, I'm glad that the forfeiture clause of people in the back seat is removed.
Yeah.
And I
you.
just wanted to make a quick comment. Under statute 169.14, there's an overall distracted driving statute, and so, we've had a lot of conversation about, well, is having a pet on your lap a distraction, et cetera, and it is, and it's dangerous, and it is covered under state law. But as Representative Detmer pointed out, we've had such a exponential increase in problems related to cell phones and texting that that's why we have that separate area and statute for that. So, good. Any other questions or comments related to this House file? Great. Seeing none, then I'll remove my motion that House File 104 as amended be referred to Ways and Means with a recommended re-referral from there to Public Safety. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the motion prevails.
Thank you, Mr. Chair,
Thank
committee.
you.